At 30, time still works in your favor, if you don't waste it. This is the messiest decade of your life. Responsibilities on all sides, constant pressure, endless distractions. But it's precisely here that most people miss the golden opportunity. In this video, you'll discover the move that transforms this chaos into real financial freedom. The last reason will literally change everything. 1. The decade of opportunities and challenges. Your 30s arrive with heavy baggage, more responsibilities, more bills, less time. It's what they call the messy middle, that chaotic period where family, work, and commitments consume everything. It feels like you started too late, right? But here's the detail that changes everything. At this age, you finally have enough income to act, but you still have decades ahead. While many think they've missed the boat, you're at the exact point where smart moves actually work. Building wealth isn't about who started earlier, it's about who understands the power of time when there's still plenty of it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The present moment is the only one that belongs to us." At 30, you have something precious, responsibilities that taught you the real value of money, combined with financial habits that can still be formed. That combination, few can exploit it as well as you can right now. But there's something most people don't see coming, an invisible power that turns a few into truly wealthy people, while others keep believing it's impossible. What if I told you that this power is much closer to you than you imagine? 2. The power of time and compound effect. Time is the most valuable asset you have at 30, and many people waste it without even realizing. While some think they need to save a fortune every month to get rich, the truth is very different. Compound interest does the heavy lifting while you live your life. It's like planting a tree that grows on its own for decades without you having to do anything. You know that money you already have? Well, it keeps working for you even when you're sleeping, taking care of family, or relaxing on the weekend. If you start at 30 with a reasonable net worth and simply let it grow naturally, in a decade, it practically doubles without extra effort. Investing at 30 is literally letting time do the wealth building for you. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that certain things work in your favor if you don't interfere. Epictetus said we should focus on what we really control, and starting now is exactly that. Consistent financial habits don't need to be huge, they just need to exist. Your perspective on money changes when you realize the heavy lifting is already happening behind the scenes. But here comes the part that truly changes everything. There's a specific metric that few people know about, a kind of invisible marker that shows exactly where you should be at 30 and how it determines whether you get rich or not. 3. The wealth multiplier. There's a silent rule that few people know. At 30, you should have a net worth equal to 1 year of your income. Sounds impossible? It's not. And here's the best part. If you reach that goal, the rest practically takes care of itself. Building wealth stops being about giant numbers and becomes about a progression that makes sense. But here's the real lesson. Every dollar you invest now is worth much more than the same dollar invested 10 years from now. That's the wealth multiplier. The earlier you start, the more times your money grows until retirement. Investing at 30 means letting your money work for 30 years. Investing at 40 means only 20 years of growth. Financial habits formed now have a multiplying power that decreases with each passing year. The Stoics understood this without needing a calculator. Starting early was a virtue because it took advantage of what nature offered. Your approach to money changes when you realize the smart move isn't to save more, it's to start now. Every action in this decade amplifies your final result exponentially. That's why most people end up poor. They wait, they delay, they believe there's still time, when in reality, they've already lost the greatest multiplier of all. But there's something beyond that. Something that determines whether you can truly protect everything you're building. 4. Beyond just money. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You can get rich and still be completely miserable. At 30, while you're building your net worth, you also need to be building a life worth living. Money is a tool, not the final prize. The confusion between these two is what leaves many people empty. The real question is, what do you actually value? If a luxury car doesn't matter to you, why spend money on it? If traveling with family matters, then that's worth investing in. Consistent financial habits don't mean living like a monk. They mean spending consciously on what truly makes you happy. Building wealth and living fully go hand in hand, not against each other. The Stoics had a concept called living in accordance with nature, and that includes recognizing what brings you genuine joy. Marcus Aurelius always asked, "What's the purpose of this?" Before spending, before saving, before any move, ask yourself if it aligns with what really matters. When your financial life reflects your real values, everything feels lighter. But here's the critical point. Many people build wealth quietly, but don't protect what they've built. And when the unexpected comes, and it always does, everything falls apart. There's something few people do at this age that literally saves everything. 5. Protection, risk, and financial organization. You might be building wealth perfectly, but without protection, a single event destroys everything you spent years building. At 30, while you invest and save, you also need to be protected against the unexpected. Financial protection isn't a luxury, it's the foundation that supports all wealth building. Without it, you're throwing everything into the air. The smart move is simple. Have an emergency fund with several months of expenses saved. Life insurance, disability insurance. Sounds boring? Yes, but that's exactly what prevents an accident or job loss from destroying everything you've built. Strong financial habits include this protection. It's not extra, it's essential. When everything is safeguarded, you invest with peace of mind. Epictetus said we should prepare for what's beyond our control. Organizing your finances now means eliminating future chaos. It's pure wisdom. Building wealth without protection is like building a house without a roof. But here's what few understand. Protecting what you have is only half the story. The other half is having the courage to act even when you're not sure, even when it feels like you don't know where to start. 6. Act, but without perfectionism. Most people never start because they're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect amount saved, perfect knowledge. Meanwhile, years pass and nothing happens. At 30, the smart move isn't to wait for perfection, it's to start now, even if imperfectly. Good enough action today beats waiting for perfect action tomorrow. You know what works? Automate everything you can. Automatic investments, automatic savings, everything coming straight from your account. When you remove the daily decision, consistency happens on its own. You don't need heroic willpower, you just need a system that works while you live. Financial habits aren't about perfectionism, they're about simple, consistent repetition. The Stoics understood that the path isn't always linear. Real life has detours, pauses, changes of plan. That doesn't mean failure, it just means you're living. Building wealth is a process, not a destination you reach once. But here's the secret few know. While you're starting simple, there's a common mistake most people make when trying to get more sophisticated, a mistake that destroys everything. 7. Don't overcomplicate. When you start making more money at 30, a dangerous temptation appears. Overcomplicate everything. Exotic stocks, private markets, real estate. It all looks attractive when you have more resources. But the truth is simple. Basic investments work better than 90% of complicated strategies. Simplicity isn't lack of intelligence, it's wisdom. A broad index fund, a well-structured 401k, monthly automatic investments, that's enough to get rich. You don't need to be a finance genius or understand private markets. The smart move is to choose what's simple and works, not what's complicated and promises. Simple consistency beats complicated disorganization. The Stoics had a rule: don't multiply things without necessity. Marcus Aurelius said clarity comes from simplicity. Keeping accounts organized, consolidating old investments, avoiding spreading accounts around, all of this is wisdom. When you combine simplicity with consistency, you create something few achieve: a financial life that works while you sleep, grows while you live, and protects as you age. And so we arrive at the point. At 30, time works in your favor, but only if you don't waste this decade and start as soon as possible. Most people miss the golden opportunity right here, waiting for the perfect moment while years slip by. Now you know the move isn't complicated. It's simple, consistent, and automatic. Building your wealth isn't luck. It's the result of small moves made at the right time. Now tell me, how were your 30s in financial terms? Leave it in the comments. And if this video brought you value, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's rethinking how they deal with money. Stay on the path to prosperity. Until we meet again.